Good morning, everyone, or afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world. We are so excited today because it is our 3-year anniversary show. And what better way to celebrate than to have an amazing guest here, right, Jim?
Absolutely. Today, we are so honored to have not only a great person, but someone I consider a friend. We have Winnie Sun from Sun Group Wealth Partners. She has been in the financial business for, I can't be that long because she doesn't look that old, but we'll just say for quite a few years. And she's one of the top women in the business, period. I mean, she's on CNBC, NASDAQ, Cheddar. I mean, she's everywhere. And, all my friends out there that are personal financial planners, you could learn a lot from this young lady. So if you haven't followed her, you need to. And so we're so excited that you're joining us today, Winnie, to talk about personal finance in your small business. And it's our 3rd anniversary. So Tim, happy anniversary to you. It's so hard to believe.
3. Do you believe it?
3 years we've been doing this show just about every week, very few times that haven't been able to. And so it just goes to show you, if you're consistent, stick with something, that good things can happen. I know Tim and I both feel blessed, not only to have all the great folks that join us on the show, but as well as every week. And shout out to Chris Stone, who made that. He made the video last year, and then he updated it. And for those of you that are wondering, what he did, which is pretty incredible, is every person that was a guest on the show since episode 100 was added into that video. So next time you watch, you gotta see if you can find yourself. So it's kind of like, where's Waldo? So and so we've done a couple other things. You'll notice we've got some nice little bevels here on our windows with our graphics. Once again, Chris, so if you're looking to level up, as Winnie likes to say, you can do that. But let's turn it over to Winnie for a second, Tim, and Winnie, tell us about yourself.
Well, first off, I am so honored to be here with you on your 3rd anniversary. And I gotta tell you, like you mentioned before, I consider this coming together as friends. So thank you so much for having me. For those of you who don't know me, first of all, fun fact, my favorite number is 3. I have 3rd anniversary. I have 3 kids. Life is good in the world of 3. There's 3 of us here. Yes, I am a longtime financial professional, financial advisor. In fact, you may know me on the CNBC. I'm a CNBC council member, Forbes contributor, and I do have my own show, which is on NASDAQ, Amazon Fire, and Roku, called Level Up with Winnie Sun, which is an entrepreneur, business, personal finance show. But I'm sort of your financial geek friend, if you will. And I'm so honored to see so many of you here. It's like I see so many friends here. Thank you so much for being here and actually being here to see me, which is still, I still don't know what the fascination is because I'm so boring, but I am Tim and Jim's friend, so I guess that makes me pretty special today. So
For sure, for sure. And we are so grateful you're here, Winnie. And we should shout out a few people who are here. There's so many people tuning in. Chris Stone, who created that amazing video. Thank you, Chris. Amazing. Learn with Lynn is here. Thank you for being here. Elise Von Struten is here. Nancy Barrows is here. Hello, Nancy. She was a guest on the show. And so many others. Robert Murray is here. Hello, Robert is in the middle of Alaska in the woods. Hello, Robert. So great to see you here. Yes, amazing. Nancy Lewis Hill is here. Hey, Nancy, how is it going? So guys, let us know where you're tuning in from around the world. And as we go through the show, let us know what questions you have for Winnie. I'm sure she'll be happy to answer any questions you have. So Jim, where should we go from here?
Yeah, so Tim, would you like to start with question 1?
I would be honored. So Winnie, what are the biggest challenges that you see for small businesses and their finances when getting started?
You know, it's so interesting you ask a question because I have always considered myself a small business owner. Many of my clients are small business owners. And if you've ever started a business, I remember the first business I started, or first like real profitable business, I should say, because I did start a business when I was like 8 selling avocados, but that doesn't really count. But was actually in my college apartment. And, you know, I remember this will tell you how old I am, but like, I remember going down to the local Staples, you know, office supply store and buying a floor model used, you know, somewhat used fax machine. And that's how I started my business. So I think, you know, many times when we start our small business, you know, it's almost like I always say, this is like your fourth child, or if you don't have any children, this is your first child. You spend so much energy nurturing your business, right? Talking about marketing, talking about sales, thinking about new products and innovations, new services. And maybe at one point you start to level up and you bring on maybe, you know, an assistant or maybe virtual assistant, and, you know, you create a website. But what happens is you're building all these foundations. But one of the key things that I think every business owner should have is sort of, you know, you got to have a game plan of what the future and what the end looks like for your business. And you might not get there in even 1 year or 7 years or 8 years, but you got to know what that looks like. Does that look like, you know, you hanging out on Hawaii on some beach somewhere? Does it look like you're going to go meet with Elon Musk and have him buy your business? Like, what does that look like? You gotta have goals. So one of the best things you can do is to work with a financial advisor as well as a tax accountant. I would actually find 2 major players in sort of your team, your extended team, to help you with that. Because so many times I'll be meeting with younger companies, right? And they'll say like, well, Winnie, one day I want to go public. Well, you know, I've actually gone through that process with some companies that I've worked with, right? And they might say, well, Winnie, one day I might want to sell my business. Well, I've done that with other businesses that we've worked with as well. So we can tell you how to position yourself early on to do that. But more importantly, and this is really key, business owners tend to be very selfless. You know, it's like you want to take care of your employees. You want to take care of your customers or your ideal client. You want to take care of all these other people, but you forget that you need to pay yourself. And you need to make sure that since you're not working at a traditional company, that you also have a retirement plan. Maybe it's a 401k for you and your employees. Maybe it's a corporate 529, a college savings plan for you and your children as along the way as you're working. But sometimes you just need someone else to remind you to look out for yourself. And I think that's why I would say as soon as you're ready to make a meeting with your financial advisor, because in most cases, even though you don't think you're ready, you technically probably are ready. You probably need that help more than even later on.
Wow. And that really ties into what our second question was of, you know, when should you get a financial planner? And so as a small business, you're really saying, hey, you need to do it much earlier than maybe even before you think you're ready. Is that a fair statement, Winnie?
So absolutely, Jim. Having a financial advisor, people always think, well, and I get this all the time. They'll say, when you're not ready to work with you yet, I'm probably just peanuts compared to the clients that you're working with. And I hear that all the time. I think that's sad because I remember being like 19 years old, starting my first business, right? And had I had a financial advisor at that time who really cared about me the way that we love our clients, then they could have provided me a lot of help. I probably would have stayed. I started in the television audience production company. I probably would have grown that business even bigger and even faster had I had the right help. Luckily, I had a great tax accountant who did give us some guidance early on. But like my personal corporate accountant has been with me since I was 24 years old. Right. And he's never once said, well, how much, do you have? How much is your earnings? Just like I don't do that with my clients today. So I always say, I've met with a whole bunch of 17, 18-year-olds this year because of the pandemic. Their parents are like, you should talk to Winnie. Winnie will talk to you. She's happy to talk to anybody. And so we talk and I give them some guidance. And then they're like, wait, that's it. That's how reasonable it is to have you in my life. I'm like, it is, because I was there at some point where you are. And I wish I could reach everybody when they first started their business, or they first started going to college, or they first started putting that first contribution towards retirement or their child's education, right? Because then I can think, when I'm talking coaching, I can think, oh, wow, in 20 years from now, you're going to be sitting really pretty because I'm going to make sure of it. So those are kind of things to keep in mind, is like, there's never going to be a perfect time where you feel like you're ready. But if you don't take that first step, you're going to really miss out on some great opportunities. And not only that, I think you're going to find it to be really fun. And it's actually easier to do when you start off small. Because what I would say in our business, right? More money, more problems, which also for me is more opportunities to plan. But for you, it may feel like more problems. For me, I love it. Like, we work from clients who've just started their first IRA, like a couple $1,000 all the way, obviously, to significant assets. But in all stages is so exciting. And if you find a really good financial advisor in your life, we look at it as a number. So we're not judging it from like, well, you only make that much. That's not how we feel. Instead, for me, it's a challenge. Okay, here's the math, here's the equation. How do we solve to get to this? And then that to me is the most exciting portion, is the planning of what we need to do and how we can build and grow to get you to that level. And even if you can't do it now, I'll plant the seeds so that at what point you'll be ready. And then you can then share that knowledge with your friends, your employees, and most important, your family members, which is cool.
I love that you do that, Winnie. I mean, that's something that I didn't realize you did do, but I think that is so important. I think all of us, or I'll say a lot of us, shouldn't say all of us, right? And that's not generalized, but we grow up where, like I come from, back in the 70s, middle class family. Both my parents worked, but we didn't talk about money. Right? It wasn't like they didn't tell me like, this is what you need to do, because they were relying on, they were going to work hard, they were going to retire, and then they would, live happily ever after, so to speak. And so they were never entrepreneurs. And so when we all started, and it's changed so much, right? Our kids, younger folks of today, don't have that necessarily that ability to get a job that they're going to be able to retire from. And I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Mhm.
So they do need, uh, you know, Winnie's more than ever, because, as Tim would say, right now more than ever, because they don't have someone looking out for them. I mean, and so how have you seen that change? Because I think it's been a huge change. I don't think everyone's aware of it.
I think you're absolutely right, Jen. I think it's a huge change. I mean, one of the reasons I sort of accidentally stumbled into the financial industry is because, 3 months before I started college, my parents actually, who were incredible savers, didn't know how to invest, right? They were immigrants to the United States. Wasn't obviously their strength. They invested in something that went belly up. So they went bankrupt at a really bad time. And so I think like that sort of opened my eyes of just the risk of not only being self-employed, small business owners, but also if you don't know what to look out for and you don't know how to invest properly and you don't know at what point to exit. then that's a problem. And so I think that's part of why I've been doing this for like 20 plus years. And even now, people say, like, well, at your level, you don't need to, take care of really small clients anymore. And I said, but that was me. That was me not that long ago. And if someone discounted me, what a mistake that would have been today, right? Because they would want me as a client today, but you would never meet me because you had to meet me. Like my corporate account met me when I was young. And I think today's business, so many times we, like, especially now, you feel like, well, I can get a lot of information online, a lot of DIY investing, right? A lot of like the meme investing. I think I can do it myself, or I'll just wait till later because there's all these opportunities and I'm so confused. I don't know how to start and who to trust and what to do. So there is that sort of information overload. But there are resources out there for you. But as a small business owner, I always say this: if you're really concerned about your client base and you really love the people that you serve, your clients and your customers, or even people in your life, then you owe it to them to get yourself really financially strong. Because a financially independent, strong, confident entity, company, person makes a better partner, a friend, a loved one. It's just you just feel whole. And so everybody deserves to have that. And that doesn't mean you have to do it alone, because a lot of us who've done it a long time, so we're trained to do, right? We've gone through, and it's incredible. And I know, Jim, you've been in the military, so like that mental strength of going through, like, I always say, like, if you're going to find someone to help you, make sure you find someone who's been in the industry advising clients, not just investing. There's a very big difference. Advising clients for more than a decade, 10 years. Because if not, everybody who's been in the industry less than 10 years hasn't even been through a bad market. So it's very critical to go through like stages such as investing during 9/11, during the housing crisis, during the tech crisis. This is a valuable experience that you can use to help you then position your company for the future, which hopefully that wasn't too much, but I'm a really big fan of starting young.
Oh yeah, and that's where I think a lot of us, at least people my age, wish we had started younger, right?
You
Because
are
there,
young.
so
You're just
yeah,
21, right, Tim?
yeah, in my mind I am. Actually, sometimes I think I'm 12, but I think it's so important, right? And I'm fortunate in one aspect because I was able to retire from my first job 12 years ago. But it was interesting because I was having a conversation yesterday with a gentleman that's going to be doing a presentation that I'm going to help remote produce. And he's talking about retirement planning. And what I thought was fascinating was like, as an example, um, you don't really retire, right? Because it's like when you retire, well, what is it you're going to do next? What is your passion going to be? As much as might like golf, I think I would get bored of playing golf every day. And you see, what's really a sad thing that a lot of people may not be aware about is there was a study done several years back that military people that do 20 years, say versus the 30, the ones that do 20, which was I was in that category, live a life that's similar to the rest of the population. But those that go to 30, because it became so much a part of their life once they leave there, and as this guy said, they went from being a VIP to a PIP, right? Just,
Mhm.
a person that, isn't important anymore, sort of thing. And they don't know what to do with themselves and they get depressed. And a lot of times within 5 years, they die.
Oh
And
no.
so it's crazy that you wouldn't think of it, but mindset is so much. And so I could see where, working with Winnie as an example would give you those options to say, you know what, this is what I want to do next, even if it's starting a nonprofit that's helping whatever is your thing, whether it's working with, saving animals, helping underprivileged children or, whatever it might be. If you don't plan, you're never going to be able to do that. And it was another interesting thing, and I think Tim, you may remember when we had Kendra Ramirez on,
Mhm.
is is it's okay for us to make money, right? It's not a sin for us, because abundance allows us to do things, and we all deserve that. And so I think To me, those are those things that I've had to get that mind junk out of my own way. I mean, what do you think, Tim?
Yeah, I was just going to ask Winnie, we're still in the midst of a pandemic. So what advice could you give us in terms of, is it even more important now to have a financial planner? Just from the aspect of, I mean, I know so many of us are also like thinking about like what's next. Like a lot of us have been thinking just from the mindset perspective, from our internal self. What can you share there?
So, Tim, I think it's a good question. During the pandemic, it's been interesting because I'm currently working from home. My team is as well. And we never thought we would be in this situation. But what's really fascinating about this is during this time, your clients are reaching out to you more so than ever because they feel that insecurity. They're not sure what's going to happen tomorrow. And let's be honest, how do you really plan for a pandemic? And because we've never been through this and we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, and that brings a lot of uncertainty. And when we usually talk about things that we know for sure, right? We know we're going to retire at some point. We know how to plan for that. We know our kids are going to go to maybe college at some point. We know how to plan for that. But how do we plan when we don't know what next year is going to look like? And I think the one of the advantages of being in a pandemic is that, at least for me, I've gotten so many more calls and clients coming in right now because they're at home. They have more time to take care of their personal affairs. And so I've been doing so many meetings right now, which is such a blessing. But that's an advantage for you. If you're sitting there and you have more time to go through your finances, this is the time to do it. Because we got to not only plan for things that you've heard on the news about an emergency plan, but there's also opportunities, right? When the market drops significantly because of concerns, like for example, yesterday, market dropped very heavily because of concerns because of the pandemic. We saw also people are traveling less, and that's also impacting some of the travel industry stocks and whatnot. So there are opportunities to be made during times of volatility. But what you don't want to do is, if you don't have that guidance and advice, if you're just sitting and maybe you're just literally buying and holding, there's going to be opportunities of not only buying and holding, but also being strategic about your planning and how you invest. And so that's where a financial coach or partner, or I call myself a financial advisor, becomes so important. Because sometimes you're going to be very nervous. I get these calls sometimes. I was like, oh my goodness, my husband says we should just move to cash because he read in the news that, the market's going to tank. What do you think we should do? I'm so nervous. Then we have a call. We talk about it. We figure out what makes sense for them, and we pivot or make changes. But we definitely most cases don't move them all to cash. There's all the other opportunities where, for example, some of our clients are really, really busy right now, still with their companies, with their children going back to school, and they miss opportunities. So, for example, let's say there's been 3 or 4 days where the markets actually drop and come back considerably. Then that's an opportunity for us to go to the client, maybe via email or live stream or whatever, and say, hey, you know what? Your child is going to be going to college in like 10 years. Let's go ahead and add a little bit more. We like the fact that there's been some correction. We still like these names. Let's add and buy cheaply. So there's a lot of things that you can do because, we're in this every single day, and you're maybe not. And I think in most cases they're not. So they're sort of looking, oh, wow, the market was really bad last week. Maybe I should call my financial advisor. So those are things that I think sometimes we discount, because our goal as a financial advisor, at least my goal, has always been to help my clients keep and grow their money as much as possible long term, right? So, and you want to couple us with like an accountant, which is they're trying to let you keep as much of your money as possible that particular year. So you got to have that yin and yang, but the sooner you can have it, I'm going to tell you, the better. And I see so many times people just wait, and they don't come to us till like, they've gotten notice that they're being offered severance and they're about to leave their company, and they're hoping they have enough money. But if you don't know how much you need and you don't know what your number is, how do you know that you can actually stop working? And I'm with Jim. I don't know about retirement. I think retirement means just a different kind of work. I like bringing in income. Bringing income feels really good.
That's some great information, Winnie. And we have a question here from somebody on LinkedIn. They said, what are some of the financial ratios that a small business or solopreneur should pay attention to?
So that's a great question. I think what you want to pay attention to is at what point are you profitable, right? And then you want to get to a point where you can build your business to a point where you're going to be profitable even though you're not in the office or you're not working or you're not in front of somebody. So what I mean by that is got to get a point where your business creates some passive income for you so that you can segue your time to building out maybe another avenue or another income stream, another product, another service. Your business can't just be so simple. You got to always think about planning the next steps. The other thing is, if you are not profitable, it's totally okay. And I want to emphasize this, to have a 9-to-5 job that has your benefits, has your 401k, has all those things, and your solopreneur business is on the side. It's very important. I always say, I am a serial entrepreneur. I've had so many businesses. Even now, I'm juggling 4 companies. But I don't build companies. I don't even go there if I don't see profitability within 12 months. And you might say, well, what does that mean, right? I mean, profitability just means that I'm not using my own money to continue to front this business. There's got to be a time where, you have a valuation, your hourly rate, what you get paid, what you would or you do get paid at a 9-to-5, you got to be able to duplicate that on your own business. And then when you are able to build that on your own business, that's when you're able to consider actually pivoting or shifting. I know that's a bit better word, right? Shifting to taking that, I know Jim said that, going to that, your full-time gig as your own gig, but always positioning and focusing on that, because there's a lot of romance in being your own boss and being an entrepreneur. And I love it too. However, more importantly, you got to make sure that you can take care of yourself and those that you love. And so even if it means another 2 years or whatnot, my husband's always worked at companies, and he's always wanted to be an entrepreneur. But to be honest, he's much better as an employee than an entrepreneur. It's just the way he's programmed. So, and there's no harm in either direction. But do know what you need to focus on is on profitability. Profitability even more important than building out social media and marketing and all that stuff, believe it or not, because you have to make sure that you have clients and customers that you know that you're successful in this model, and then you focus on really building out your brand.
That is so awesome. So we're going to take a quick break to get a message from our friends at StreamYard, and then we'll be back with our final question for Winnie.
I just feel like I want to dance today. I mean, 3-year anniversary. I feel like, dance. Even Winnie's dancing.
3-year anniversary. And I'm so excited for you guys. So awesome. That's really impressive.
Thank you.
We're so excited you're here. And thank you everyone who's tuning in. There's so many of you in the comments. And we are grateful for all of you. And we're here with the amazing Winnie Sun. We're talking about personal finance and your small business. So Jim, what is our next question?
Take it away, Tim.
Sure. For those considering entrepreneurship, what personal financial plans should they have in place before moving forward, Winnie?
Sure. So this is a great question. So I think as a small business owner, here's what I would say is absolutely must have thing. Number one, obviously a cash cushion, right? Business owners, even if you're, not a business owner, I always say, people sometimes they collect cards, sometimes they collect stamps. I collect cash, and I think business owners should collect cash too. Cash is really, really important for your business. The other thing is to think about things such as insurance. Insurance is actually really important. Disability insurance, making sure that you have life insurance, you have people that are depending on you. Retirement planning is definitely probably my number one thing after the cash cushion. And that's if you're self-employed, look at a SEP IRA is super simple, super easy to set up. You can do it through a financial advisor, or you can do it through a bank, credit union. A lot of places offer that. Great, but make sure you also, get some good advice on investing that money. And here's a big thing. I've even talked, I used to train financial advisors at Smith Barney, and it's always surprised me. Some people didn't even know this, but you can actually have a SEP or a 401k, as well as an IRA and a Roth IRA. So one's a company plan and one's a personal plan. And you should actually consider if you can and you have profitability to do both. And then the last thing I would say is make sure you have your next plan, right? What does your exit plan look like? Are you going to sell your business? Do you hope to pass it along to your kids? Like, what's that going to look like? And that should be part of your estate planning, which is like your living trust and will. And I think those are sort of my core. Obviously, there's a lot more other fun things to consider, like, there's also strategies that you can do as a business owner to earn points and miles so that you actually do get a vacation once in a while. So there's a lot of fun things that you can do, but those are sort of the core ones.
Wow, that's just amazing. I mean, Tim, what are your thoughts? I mean, you're actually someone that was working, and then you literally went straight into your business. Like it wasn't like you retired from your previous job. I mean, what was that like, and how did you and your wife come to that decision? Because that was a big decision. Oh, you're muted, Tim.
So, take two. So, I've been working in journalism for more than 12 years before I got into this whole social media and live streaming stuff. And so I found myself here in the woods in Pennsylvania, and the newspaper industry was declining rapidly. The size of newsrooms were going down. But I'm so lucky. My wife is a teacher, and she's had her job now for more than 20 years in the same school district. So I always say that I'm so lucky I have my wife for many reasons, but one, so that I can put up with so that I can continue my shenanigans with social media and live streaming.
Shenanigans. Yeah, I guess sometimes there are shenanigans, but
yeah,
it's on some other show that you do. There's not too many
worthy shenanigans.
Yeah, it definitely is. And it is so important to have a plan, and that's where I think I was fortunate, and I try to encourage my fellow veteran friends that retire. It's like, look, we're so stuck in that job mentality. It's like you have the opportunity to start something that can grow so big, because I still think the best thing any of us can do, and Winnie, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, is to start a business, especially if it's something you're passionate about, because you're in charge. You decide what success means, and there's really the tax system actually benefits you, I think, more as an entrepreneur than as an employee. I mean, what are your thoughts on that, Winnie?
Well, absolutely. I think there's so many benefits of working at a large company, and it's so many even more important benefits of being self-employed. So I was at Smith Barney for over a decade, which then got bought out by Morgan Stanley. I was there then for a few more years, and then or another year, and then I transitioned to start my own business. And one of the reasons is because I really wanted to be a mother. So I had my first child while I was still working at Smith Barney, and I was like pregnant with my second when I transitioned to my own business. And now I have 3 kids. And that was a really big part of like my happiness. I really wanted to be an active parent. I didn't want to be one of those parents that would just drop my kids off, right? So I knew that it would be challenging to own my own business, having to make all those important decisions. Like, obviously, I own my own building, and having a business, building mortgage on top of paying for everything, right? And doing everything that sort of was handled for me when I worked at the larger company. But being self-employed, I think if you can do it and if you do it right, affords you the opportunity for really great like quality of life, right? You can go to your kids' sports games. Like I can go to my kids' events. And even today, like we made a really tough decision last week to actually keep our kids at home for another year of virtual learning. Like because of this pandemic, my kids like would love school and I want them to go to school. But at this point, it just didn't feel right for our family because our little ones aren't vaccinated, right? And that we could do. We could do that because we are self-employed. And so I think if you know the benefits of being self-employed and like the pros of that, now you just got to figure out a way to really make this work. And if you're going to make this work, you've got to basically devote. This basically is for me, my 4th child, right, is my business because,
Yeah.
when I'm with my kids, I'm present, but then when I'm at work, I'm totally present to they know mommy's at work. We don't bother her. And that's just how it works.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I know Tim stayed home with his kids while he was first
Yeah,
growing his
6 years.
business. And even for me, when I first retired from the Marines, my daughters were in middle school and starting high school. But to your point, Winnie, I was able to be at every practice, every game. I could take them to school. I could pick them up until they got a license. And that meant a lot to me because, you never get to replace that. You never get that back. And sometimes I feel like people get so wrapped up in work that they forget, you know, as much as they're like, "Oh, well, I'm doing it to support my family," but it's more, your family wants you there. They want you to be present, and I just don't think that money can always replace that. And I admire the fact that right, you're able to make that choice.
Well, it
You
wasn't
put
easy.
yourself in a position, yeah, but that you can even do it because some people just couldn't do it, and that's unfortunate that they can't do that, especially yeah, because it is a little crazy right now, and so hoping everybody is making smart decisions in that regards.
Yeah,
So,
I'll share a little. Let me share a little story with you. I
yeah,
apologize to interrupt you, but so I remember when I turned in my resignation at Morgan Stanley to this manager, and he said to me literally that day, he says, did you tell your husband that you're going to do this because this is going to kill your career? You're never going to make it. This is the end of everything that you know and love right now. And I remember being so scared coming down those flights, that elevator that day, and thinking, did I just create career suicide? That would be it, right? I wouldn't have a next. And I remember hearing that word, and I remember getting to the bottom floor. I'm like, yeah, I'll show him what I don't need, so I think the thing is, you need to define what success looks like to you. And there's always going to be people who are going to tell you that what you have as an idea doesn't work. But I always ask myself, well, why not me? Why can't I be on the Tim and Jim show, right? Why can't I, do a project with MasterCard or Hyatt Hotel or Chase? Why not? Why does a financial advisor have to just be a financial advisor? And the thing is, you always have to ask yourself, and don't let anybody else's voice get in your head, because you are the one who determines your success. And that's the key. Determine your success. So I don't want you to talk about failure. It's like, it shouldn't even be in your vocabulary.
that is, yeah, that is so on point. I mean, Tim, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. The mindset is so important, right? With finances, but everything we do, especially as we're going through so much now, right? There's always something good out there, uh, and yeah.
So Winnie, tell our audience, where can they catch up with you? Because I know you're on live all the time, and not to mention, one of the things I always enjoy doing, and it'll be later this afternoon, is you have your own very successful Twitter chat. That's probably an understatement, and that's the Winnie Sun Twitter chat today at 2. But where else can we find you?
Sure. Well, thank you, Jim. I'm pretty much everywhere at Winnie Sun. And if you want to learn more about our company, the website is sungroupwp.com. But if you Google me, you'll usually find me pretty easily. And I'm basically where you are, wherever you are. If you're on LinkedIn, you're on Twitter, you want to direct message me, my direct messages on Twitter are always open. So I'm happy to hear from any of you. But I mean, yes, so our Twitter chat is every Wednesday, usually, like you mentioned, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And it's hashtag Winnie Sun. We are the largest business personal finance chat on social media. We average about 150 million impressions per week. And fun fact is, as of this past March, I haven't checked the numbers recently, but as of past March, hashtag Winnie Sun was shared over 25 billion impressions on social media. So kind of
Wow.
fun.
Wow.
That's incredible.
So for those of you that think Twitter is dead, far,
Yeah,
far from it.
it's fun. Twitter's fun.
Yeah. And so next week, we are going to have another great guest. And had the opportunity to see her speak last week at Social Media Week Lima. And we got to get you out there, Winnie, maybe next year. Jessica Phillips just has an amazing
I love
conference.
this.
It's small, 200 to 300 people, but it's just so many great people there. And it's going to be Julia Jornsay Silverberg will be our guest next week at 11 a.m. And, Winnie, we can't thank you enough for joining us today on our 3rd anniversary show. And like everybody said, look at the professionalism. She's on brand with the colors to match what we have. I was like, blown away by that. Thank you to everyone for joining us today, and couldn't be more tickled. And so now the pressure on us is, who do we get next year? Because the 3 anniversary guests we've had, you, Ross Brand, and Andrew and Pete have just all been amazing. And maybe we have to do maybe next, right, Tim? I guess our hope would be, that we could actually do this in person. That was originally our goal, but with everything that's
We'll
going
see.
on, it's a little hard to do. So that's the plan. Year 4, we will do that. And great to see some other folks joining it. And you know what I've noticed, Tim?
What did you
LinkedIn has
notice?
really been getting us a lot of traffic. Facebook, I don't know what's going on with you.
Yes.
But a lot of people on LinkedIn. So thank you, everybody over there on LinkedIn. And so with that, folks, we will see you next week. And thank you so much again. And take care, everyone.
Thank you, my friends. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Woo-hoo.